This is my everyday carry, my EDC personal defensive element. It's the tools that I look to that if I feel I'm in danger. And the level of danger determines which tool that I need to use. In one of my weapons classes, I had a question this last class. I used the word mortal threat in the class, and one of the students wanted clarification what I mean by that. And what I mean by that is that if I don't choose the biggest tool in my personal defensive element to fend off an attacker, to fend off a threat to my person, I may not go home at the end of the day. That's what I mean by a mortal danger. It's an existential danger. It's a danger that means that if I don't react with my strongest tool, I'm going to die. That's what I mean by that. In this particular environment here, or in this particular element, that typically becomes your pistol, your handgun. The one I carry most frequently is what you see here. This is the Ruger LC9. It's a 7+1 9mm semi-automatic pistol. I have a review of it also on the website, but we'll talk about it briefly or somewhat more expanded than in the general overview. It does have a couple characteristics that its smaller brother, the LCP, does not have. It does lock back on empty, which I like. I have heard reports and read reports where other users have not had that experience. That has not been mine. I've probably put 200 to 300 rounds through this thing in the last year. It is not a range gun. It's not a gun that I use on the range to practice my different scenarios or my different drills, but it is a weapon on the range that I will fire every month and make sure I'm familiar with its use. So it does lock back. It does have a slide safety, which I like. You can't engage it unless you put a magazine in it. I like that, the extra protection there, the extra safety element there. It's a nice compact weapon. It's easily concealable. Now this particular weapon I will deep conceal. I have a couple different favorite approaches to that. This time of year, and I'm making this the end of winter, I'll stick it inside a leather coat pocket. However, remember, once you put that coat on, then you don't take it off. If you go to a restaurant, if you go to a McDonald's or whatever, you don't take the coat off and hang it on the back of the chair. I will never, quote unquote, off person carry. It has a couple interesting characteristics that some people go back and forth on, and you'll see that in my my shooting review of this. It has a very long trigger pull, and it takes practice so that you can quickly stage it for a faster release. To be real honest, in a high intensity threat situation, pretty good chance you're not going to do that. You're just going to pull the trigger as quick as you can. My experience has been that it's very accurate. It is the only handgun I've ever purchased, though, that comes out of the box sighted in for point of aim. And it is point of aim. Virtually every other pistol that I have that I can think of is fond of the 6 o'clock position, not point of aim. This one is not. It is indeed point of aim. It comes with a couple different configurations of the magazine. One, you can put the finger extender on it, gives you a little better grip, and one is just straight. When you buy the weapon, it comes with one magazine and a finger extender that is not installed. You can put that on at your leisure. I like the finger extender so that I have that on 2 of the 3 magazines that I have. But it only comes with one magazine, so you do need to buy extra. When I first purchased this last February of 2011, They were very difficult to come by. Now not so much. The ammunition that I carry in it is made by Hornady. It is their critical defense ammunition. It's essentially a hollow point with injected rubber in the end. The idea behind that is, as it goes through clothing, it will contain the expansion and wait until it gets to soft tissue. If I remember the specs right, a 9mm will put about a 3/4 inch hole, develop about a channel that's 3/4 of an inch wide. They have a number of videos through ballistics gels on their website. I've heard good reports about it. Thank God I've never had to use it, but it is what I carry in this pistol. Again, when you talk about carry, you have two choices. Really, you have deep cover, and then you have strong side. If I carry deep cover, I will use this a couple different ways. Like I said, inside my jacket, or Tactical 5.11 Tactical has a great T-shirt that you can wear that has holsters built in it, underarm holsters both on the left and right side. Very easy to carry the pistol in one of those and magazines in the other. When I carry, I have a fondness for carrying my 2 spare magazines in my left hip pocket, and that's where I always carry them, whether I'm carrying this one or some other pistol. And let's talk about that. My other choice for a carry pistol is a Glock 36 .45 caliber ACP. Again, I choose the Hornady Critical Defense ammunition, and I choose the extenders on the end. That gives me a 7+1 in the weapon. I like Glocks. They just go bang when you pull the trigger. A Glock 36 is a nice form factor. It is easily concealable. I have carried it both in the 5.11 tactical t-shirts, but typically if I carry that, I use a Serpa strong side quick release holster. It rides pretty high on the belt, so that when I use a concealment garment, again typically it's a long polo, it's one of the tactical 5.11 concealment shirts, or this time of year it's a leather bomber jacket that's extended down over. The only thing, again, keep in mind, if you strong side carry on your belt outside of a concealment garment other than a jacket, that means you simply don't take the jacket off. Just as though if you carry with inside the jacket, you don't take it off in the restaurant and hang it on a chair where you go get your meal. I do not off-body carry. If I walk out the door with my weapon, it's with me all the time, period. I think those are two good choices for personal carry. I know a lot of people like full-size handguns. I have at times carried a Springfield 1911. It's just big. Now there's comfort in that. It feels like you could just hammer a person to the ground with the size of the weapon and the weight of the weapon itself. But from a concealment point of view, it becomes much more difficult. And to me, honestly, it's not worth the hassle. So these are my two current choices, and my choice for every day, 95% of the time, is going to be the Ruger LC9 with 3 magazines. I always carry 3 magazines, whether it be the Glock or the LC9. Of course, Murphy being who he is, as I started to roll this video, I realized I only had 2 magazines for the Glock, so that's what I showed. But I'll always carry 3. A tactical knife for personal defensive purposes should have a couple things. Should be fairly thin, should be light, should be easily concealed, should open easily, should lock back, should have a nice solid blade that holds its edge well. And then it should be used, should have the ability to be used for other things as well, other than just personal defense. And my choice of the ones I've looked at and carried to date is currently settled on the Kershaw. This is the 1760. It's got a fine blade, very good steel, holds an edge forever. It's light, it's thin, it opens easily. I carry these in my right rear pocket, which is another thing I want to talk about. Position. Where do you carry your things? They should always be in the same spot. And the reality is, if things ever go bad, you don't want to have to sit there and think, golly, I wonder where I put my knife, or I wonder where I put my flashlight, or where am I carrying my my weapon today? Is it inside? Is it outside? Is it on the left side, right side, strong side, weak side, internal holster, external holster, inside the waistband holster? You should develop a consistency. So I'll carry one of two ways: deep concealed, which I'm not going to talk about. Typically, it's under the shirt with different types of holsters. Or a strong side, and in that case it's going to be my Glock, and it's going to be a Serpa holster on my strong side. I'll always carry the two loaded magazines in my rear left-hand pocket, like I said, and my knife I always carry on my rear right pocket, as close to my side pocket as I can get. I don't think you could go wrong with the Kershaw. The price point on this is amazing. It's like $35 if I remember right. 35. It's definitely less than $40. This is just a knife you need to have on your person, period. And then flashlights. Golly, over the last 40 years, I've gone through so many different types of flashlights, starting from the little bulb flashlights the size of a large pen, moving up to the mag lights when they were really popular, and honestly, a lot of them, they still are real popular. And then moving into the small LED lights, all the way from the little button lights that you can clip on your keychain. Then once they got past the button lights and those types of things, we've now gone into much stronger, much more powerful LED lamps. And the current one I carry in my pocket is made by Surefire. It's the 6P LED Defender. It has a very bright light, definitely gets your attention. If I remember right, 80 to 85 lumens. Definitely reaches out if you're out in your yard, behind your house, going through a dark alley, going into a dark home. It does a nice job. In addition to that, though, it has a serrated edge to it, which makes it a nice tool as a non-lethal weapon that you can carry in your hand. And let me talk about that a little bit. Difference between elevation between one type of weapon to another. Typically, if I was going to and had time to encourage someone not to attack, probably start out with, if it's at night, a flashlight in their eyes, with my hand, in my strong hand, also having the tactical knife, the Kershaw. And I want to talk a little bit about that. My whole thought process when you get into going from non-lethal to lethal is using an appropriate amount of force to change a person's mind from going into an attack mode on you to defending yourself and moving up to how do you defend yourself when you're in a mortal threat. One thing I wish the Surefire had in this version was a strobe. It does not. It simply has a bright light. Yet, if you're in a parking lot and you have somebody walking toward you, showing this in their face might be just enough to make them change their mind about seeing you as defenseless, seeing you as an easy target, and they may simply walk away simply by turning a flashlight on them. The next elevation would be probably going to a knife, although from that point on, if you're, and again, depending on your size, your training, number of people around, all sorts of different elements, you may still decide that a knife may be a good choice as opposed to going right to your primary carry weapon, or maybe you go right to that. Even if I do draw my primary weapon, it is always to deter them from continuing the attack. Now that deterrence may look like doing my very best to put 3 rounds in the attacker's chest, which certainly would have a mortal effect on them. But the idea is not to just outright blatantly kill them. Just from a moral point of view, not that I would hesitate if I was in mortal threat, or my family or my children, I wouldn't hesitate. But you also need to remain a thinking shooter, not just a reactive one. And when I say thinking shooter, what I mean is that you've thought the processes through. In your training on the range, you've carried your everyday carry weapon. You've drawn it from concealment. You've gone through scenarios with yourself or with a coach or with a training partner. You've thought about this, so you're not encountering in the parking lot of a mall a threat that you haven't at least thought about. The other part is just the idea of taking a life with your weapon. There should be no hesitation if the person is simply intent, and you will know. You can look in their eyes, you can look in their body language. The flashlight didn't work. There's more than one. Their body language is all forward, all aggressive. Usually the verbiage that they use is intimidating, meant to intimidate. At that point in time, it's pretty easy to move forward. However, there are examples in our area. A lady was at a fast food restaurant. A car pulled into the back of her, hit her car. She was angry, and her first choice was to draw her weapon out of her purse and hold the person at gunpoint until the sheriff came or the local police came. That's not an appropriate use. She, of course, was at fault. And honestly, I don't know if it was ended with just a ticket or something more. But be a thinking shooter, and get the training, go through the process enough that you know how to use your everyday carry weapons, and that you can make a decision without a lot of thought to move from non-lethal to lethal, and to remain that thinking shooter with your everyday carry personal defensive element. I hope this all makes sense to you. I'm just looking for feedback. If you like this, if you don't, things you think we should include or not include. This is how I do it. It's not meant to be the do-all, end-all. The arguments you hear are mine, no one else's. The positions you hear are mine, no one else's. And let me know what you think. I'd appreciate it. Thanks much. We'll look forward to the next video with you.